That's a good idea. Now anything we say is going to be heard by anybody who looks at this, so.
Speak carefully.
Yes. Actually, there's a way to edit this stuff too. So if someone makes a mistake, we can edit and fix it.
All right.
I'm not volunteering for that.
So are we going to look at some of the images on your screen, Dan?
Yeah, I can, because I got them, the ones that you sent me.
Mm-hmm. Or
Okay,
I can
yes.
share my screen, either way you want to do it.
Well, since why don't you share your screen?
Okay.
Frank, is
Oh, I'm
David?
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
So David, you should be able to share your screen now.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which screen I need to share.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to pull them all up here and then we can go through them.
Okay.
All right. You let me know when you're ready.
Well, maybe we can go ahead and look at them now, and then with Frank, and then someone comes in, we can circle back on anything they need to say.
Okay. Let me get to a different screen here.
Aaron's in. Are you there, Aaron?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Thank you for coming. All right, David, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Yeah, so this was our first thought when we were looking at changing some of the colors. You already have some light colored or white walls in the space. And of course you have the brick, and then you have these paneled walls that are a wood, a darker wood, and of course you have the bluish carpet. So in this image, you can see that we put, it's not the exact carpet that you guys that we've spec'd for y'all. We don't have an image of that to be able to lay it in this elevation, but we went ahead and colored it sort of that grayish color that it's going to be, so that it gives you an idea of the overall color and feel. We went ahead and darkened or stained the ceiling itself. So right now it's sort of it's a light wash stain. It has a little bit of a pinkish hue to it. So we're pulling that out and giving it more of a wood look. So it's got a richer look up on the ceiling. And so we had proposed painting the walls white, and then this curved part that flanks either side of the pulpit, we were considering painting that the same color white. And so one of the things that Dan and I talked about also was putting an option there, maybe doing wood, but not going back to the same wood that you have. So our big concern with the wood that you have right now is it's an inexpensive paneling. It's sheet paneling, and you see it in a lot of older houses that were built in the 60s through the 80s. And that's what we were trying to cover over. And so we thought, well, what would it look like if we actually came in with real wood paneling that maybe had a little bit different look, that maybe was a little bit more contemporary looking as well. So I do have a couple of options to look at in that arena as well. Regarding paint, we can also dive into more colors here other than just the white that matches the wall. If that's a direction that you all want to look at, and we're happy to go through some of those with you. But one of the things I was trying to avoid, though, was introducing something new into the space so that you didn't have too many competing elements, because you're going to have the brick, you're going to have the white walls, you're going to have the stained ceiling and the gray carpet. And so I didn't want to try to introduce something new into that space because there's already a lot going on. But we're happy to look at some of those options if y'all decide that maybe paint's the way y'all want to go, but let's look at some colors, because we can certainly shade these darker. So maybe it's still in the neutral colors, but maybe a darker neutral. So I'm going to see if we can, I'm hoping I can switch these without having to do a screen share every time. So let's see. Nope, I'm going to have to do a screen share. Okay, so here was one of the first options that we had looked at. This is, it may appear a little bit more washed out than in reality, but what we're specifying here are white oak panels where you can see the dark joints in between them. And we felt like this was a good direction to go. Number one, it's a little bit more of a contemporary move for the worship area, but the wood plays off of the wood that you already have with the ceiling and the beams, but it's just a lighter color, a little more washed. But we were thinking that it would either be a natural white oak. When you seal it, it'll darken just a little bit, or maybe even tinting the stain just slightly, but it would still have a look that's somewhat similar to this. So again, it's a more of a neutral color, but it really, I think, plays well off of the wood ceiling and introducing a new complementary wood, but not a different, not a completely different material for these walls. So let me share another one. And then we also looked at an option of the same color, but what if we exchanged the wainscot that you guys have going down the sides already and put the same wood paneling on the wainscot, to help add something to the bottom of the wall. Now, I don't know that it necessarily needs it because most of the time you're going to have chairs in this space or things going on, furniture. But it is a nice addition. So it's changing that old wood paneling that you have for a newer paneling at the base. And now I'm going to share. So then I sent these to Dan and we talked for a little bit. He asked for a darker color, and I agree with him that, maybe we need to look at something that has a little bit more color in the wood. So this is what we came up with. And although I like that first iteration of the wood, I lean more strongly towards this one because I think that it's pulling some of the warmth off of the brick and off of the wood ceiling, but it's not going too dark. Because right now, that's what you have is that dark wood. And I think it has a nice contemporary appeal to it. so out of all the ones that we've looked at so far, this is probably my favorite. At the end of the day, when we get to the point of actually doing the staining of the wood, we will stain multiple samples and select the final stain before it's all put up. So it's not going to be something that we select off of this image and then go in and try to stain everything that color. We want to do it in person and actually put the sample up in this room so you can see how it's going to respond. And then the last one I wanted to share was the same color, but adding the wainscot to it. And I think both of these have a nice look to them. One of the things that we were asked is, okay, so what's the cost difference between this wood paneling and just painting? It's a significant cost difference, but then at the end of the day, if you look at the overall cost of the project and then how much extra this cost, it may be small enough for you all that you would say, you know what, it's worth splurging a little bit, especially on these two flanking walls at the pulpit, because that's what everyone's going to be looking at. So in my estimate, this curved wall and then the other one flanking it, if you did just those two walls alone, you're probably in the $2,500 extra to do those two walls. I didn't get a price to do this wainscot, but you're probably doubling that. So for the whole sanctuary, you might be looking somewhere in the $5,000 range to do all of this wainscot with the white oak panels. So,
David, if we did the wood panels that are at the back of the sanctuary, are we thinking about the same kind of price as it would be for the front two to do the back two?
Yes, I would say that is correct, that it would be about $2,500 for those two at the back as well, because they're approximately the same size. I think they may be a little bit longer, but they're also not rounded, they're squared off. So you could look at an option where you did the ones at the back and the front, but not the wainscot. And so you're looking at probably in the $5,000 range to do that. But if you had to give and take, I think certainly the ones at the front are more important. And then I think that the wainscot, might be a nice add to that space. The ones at the back, I think you can do the same thing, but it wouldn't bother me at all to continue that white around, because then what you're doing is you're really pulling the focal point of this space at the front and towards the center, rather than having a secondary focal point that may be at the back. But it would not be a wrong move to cover those in the same wood if you wanted to do that. So let me know if there's some that you need me to pull back up to go back and look at. And then I'm just going to open up the floor for any of y'all to kind of speak your mind and just kind of talk about what your feelings are on some of these options.
Aaron, do you have anything right off the top of your head? Do you like the wood, or do you like the white paint on those places?
Yeah, so for me, I prefer the wood. I think let's go back and look at the white. And once I got into it and started thinking about the white, are you able to see the white one right now?
No.
Okay. All right. Let me do the new share.
We can see it now.
Okay. So the concern I have with this white wall, and it was confirmed once we saw it, is this area right here where we have these dark beams going down into the wall. It just feels like there's some randomness at this location, and because that's up at the front, I think the wood detracts from that, and it helps to kind of conceal what's going on with these wood vents. So that's why I would, my recommendation is the wood, and the darker wood at that. So this one. I'm not as, I think the wainscot is nice, but I don't think that you need it in this space, especially considering it looks relatively sparse right now. But think about it when you've got chairs in there, or even tables and chairs and furniture, that really covers all of that up because that's down at that lower level. So, you know, when you're meeting in here for worship, that's not going to be something that you're even going to be noticing, is the wainscot down the sides. So yeah, this is the one that I would recommend. I like this color too. We went through some ranges of darks and lights, and I felt like this was a good medium color, so that it still had a little bit more of a contemporary feel, because I know that's one of the things that y'all are trying to do to this space, is to kind of bring it up to date. But it's not heavy, which is what you guys have now with the dark wood.
Aaron and Frank.
I like
do you
this
have
one.
any- You like this one?
I like this one. The wainscoting on the bottom, I feel like it'll just be lost in the sea of purple chairs.
Yeah, I agree.
But I definitely like the darker wood. It gives better visual, but it also fades in the background, where the lighter one and the white make you draw your eye to the wall. So.
My only question is, I like to look to, is that the wood is darker than the brick. Because the brick is kind of a beige kind of color. So is this a little bit darker, like there's a transition of color going on? Or is it going to continue that same kind of, it looks different colors on this screen, but I wonder what it looks like in the actual space.
Well, and that's one of the things. So anytime we do even exterior but interior finishes, we want to do mock-ups in the space. So before we select that color, I think it has to be in that space. But I'm thinking that it actually is not too much darker. We don't want to go that dark with it. I think this color is a good color, and I agree with you. This picture shows the brick darker than it really is.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually going to be a nice blend with the brick rather than competing with it.
Yeah, I like it.
So David, would we be able to choose the color and have it up there, and also have carpet samples that we can put up at the same time too, so we can check the carpet and the wood color and the brick all together?
Yes, we can. So one of the things I would recommend though is, unless you're still debating on the carpet color, you know, though, that to me, you know, we can take that carpet color, and if you decide that that is the carpet you want, that's a set, right? That's a set item. We know that that's what the carpet color is. Just like the brick, we know that's what the color is going to be. And then we make the rest of our decisions based off of those 2 or 3 knowns. And so I think that that's what I would recommend, but I agree that we can bring it all in together. We may actually have, I'll have to check and see if we have some white oak somewhere, so we can get some stains put on it and then bring it up to the space at some point. Yes, Aaron.
If you don't have white oak, I have scrap white oak from a floor that we just put in,
Oh, okay.
if you needed it to borrow,
Okay.
if that would help to get it, move it along.
Yeah, and I've got tons of white oak flooring too in my basement that was from another project, so we can get plenty of that.
Okay. Yeah, if you've got it readily available, I can take it down, and we can get some samples, stains on it, and then go from there and then make those decisions. But I would agree that yes, we want all that in there at the same time. Carpet, and of course the brick will be there, and then those stain colors, just to see how it all plays together.
When we talked in January, the last time we had this interior design meeting, the carpet samples were shown, and then the carpet samples have been up at church for people to see. And I think people are pretty okay with the colors and samples that we have.
Mhm.
Before I tell you, yes, this is the ones we're choosing, I'm going to ask the committee one more time to say that they have seen it and they feel comfortable with those colors and whatever else. I might ask you if the sanctuary color, if there are any other real options, because that's just one option we had. Are there any other like brands or patterns or color options that are similar, but maybe a little warmer, a little darker, a little lighter, a little anything? Because we really didn't have an option. We just had one.
With the carpet.
Yes.
Okay. There are other options out there. Obviously we've got a book of them, and let me get with Karen. We can pull the book up because she was picking some of those colors out of a book. So we'll see. Let me talk with Karen, Dan, and let me find out how to get that book.
Okay.
What would be the best way to look at all of that? Because normally we go through the book and then we choose the ones that we think we want to get the larger samples of.
I can just come up to the office if you want to show me things.
Mhm.
We only had one choice. I just wonder if there might be other choices. Partly my concern is I'm not sure that the sanctuary color and then the color that is outside in the meeting area and the halls is really a great match one to the other. They're kind
Okay.
of similar, but they're not great. And
Okay.
maybe that's what we get, but maybe there are other choices that would really actually be a little bit better match between the inside and the outside, and maybe something that would be a little bit better as we're going towards this warm wood color. And anyway, I just think it would be nice to at least see another option or two.
Sure. I will call Karen. Let's see if we can get that done this week.
Okay.
Get the book up here and let's go through it, and then let's get a couple of more selections or a few more selections, whatever you want to do. We'll get those ordered so we can have those.
Okay. And then if we look at things and we think this is really no good, this original one's great, then I'll bring it to the committee and say, hey, we've looked at other ones, but this is really our best choice. Or if there are a couple of them that seem pretty doable, we'll share them with the committee and see what we come up with.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
We can do
Since
that.
there's not a lot of other people here to kind of talk about that, I think this is probably good for now.
Okay.
Dan, are you thinking stay gray though? Because I do like the idea of the gray with the purple.
Yeah, I think something like that. I just want to make sure that we match the hall color carpet with
It
the
was more of a
sanctuary.
taupe. Was it more taupe? The hall?
It was just a little different,
Okay.
Yeah.
whatever it was. It just seemed to me a little tiny bit different. And maybe David will say, you know what, you won't see that if we do this and that, whatever. But I still think it would be nice to be able to maybe have choices, put them up by the chair colors, and thinking about the warm oak color that we might be having down by the carpet. Just if we're thinking this direction, are there other carpet choices that would be worth at least looking at?
Yeah. We're more than happy to show those to you and get
Okay.
some more samples.
Okay. And I really only think one or two would be fine. We don't need to have the world options, but
I agree.
okay. All right. Well, I'll get with you, David, and we'll schedule whenever it's good for you. And then I'll bring it to the committee and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and shoot you an email here in just a minute, and then I won't respond to it till the morning. But if you want to go ahead and look at your schedule and see what you got, and I'll get with Karen as well.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Y'all have a good
Thank
evening.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks
All
for
right.
Good night.